it's not something that obviously we wouldn't have done the transaction if we felt that we were. I think at the end of the day, as I mentioned before, there is literally thousands of other promotions, thousands of options for fighters. It just so happens that, with the groundwork that we put in place over the last 10, 11 years, we happen to be the most successful. And, once again, there's plenty of competition, and there's literally no barrier to entry. Anybody that wants to get into business, they can go file for a promoter's license and put up some capital and go sign fighters and go get a television contract. There's plenty of options there too. So, it's a wide open market for anybody who wants to get involved.
Yeah, Lorenzo literally said it. All you got to do is go out and raise some cash and jump into the business. All you got to have is some big balls and some money behind you, and you can get into the MMA business.
And is it too early to tell how much this deal could affect the continuation of the Ultimate Fighter series?
What do you mean?
Is there a chance that we would see a Strikeforce Ultimate Fighter, or is there a chance that? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this thing just happened. We're still kind of putting all the pieces together.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Mike Chapito with AOL Sports.
Japan's been a long goal of yours to get into Japan, and I know Scott's looked into Japan quite a bit. He's got good relationships there. Is that a possible side effect of this deal, using Strikeforce to help you guys get into Japan?
You take that.
Once again, so early in this deal that we haven't really put together the plan for it yet. Scott has done business in Japan there for a lot of years. I mean, we'll have to sit down and look at what the landscape is. Look, we're only going to do things if they make sense, they make economic sense, they make sense from a strategic standpoint. So we just have to wait and see how that happens.
Okay, and for Scott, if you could just, there was obviously some disappointment about the April show, the heavyweight Grand Prix fights not going down. Did getting this deal with the UFC done or with Zuffa done, did that affect the show at all and not being able to put it together? Was that a big factor in that happening?
No, that was a decision that was made way before this thing was inked. So it had nothing to do with it, and really had more to do with trying to find the right location for the heavyweight tournament. And once we found Dallas as the venue, we notified the fighters, and they were all okay with it. So that had nothing to do with it.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take our next question from Bob Emanuel with Scripps Howard's News Service.
Dana, you've been reluctant to have a women's division for quite some time. Strikeforce has made the women an integral part of their production. What are your thoughts on the women's division now?
They're the same as they were before. That's Scott's deal, not mine.
And with Strikeforce, with the heavyweight tournament and everything, do you think that now that Zuffa's involved, do you think there's a possibility of maybe having the final of that on a pay-per-view type event?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We'll take our next question from Jeff Wiggingham with SportsIllustrated.com.
Hey guys, speaking of pay-per-view events, when Strikeforce has had one of their big live events on Showtime, we often have seen the UFC put some pretty appealing taped fights on Spike this night, and sometimes it's an old pay-per-view event from the recent past. Some pretty big fights. Now I don't expect you guys to counter-program an outfit that you now own, but I'm wondering if fans are still going to get to see old pay-per-view events on basic cable.
Absolutely, yes.
So you're just going to do that? It's not going to be sort of a counter-programming of something else. It's just going to be...
I won't counter-program Scott's stuff anymore.
Thank you. Look, and at the end of the day, everybody, talks about counter-programming. Spike likes UFC content on Saturday nights. We pull great numbers for them. So, we're delivering product that they want.
We'll take our next question from Mike Straka with Fighting Words.
Hey, Dana, Lorenzo, Scott, congratulations. Guys, first off, Dana or Lorenzo, explain the pay-per-view business in a way where Showtime isn't a pay-per-view business. So I don't know who your provider is, but is this an opportunity for you guys to go to Showtime and say, let us work your pay-per-view, and then go back to your pay-per-view guys and say, give us a better deal, or we're going to play one off the other?
No, I mean, My understanding is that Strikeforce has a current contract with Showtime, and if any fights are on pay-per-view, Showtime's the distributor, and that's it, end of story. And when we do our pay-per-views, we essentially self-distribute it to the providers, whether it be satellite or cable. It's going to be a little bit different here under the Strikeforce brand, and as Dana said many times, it's really Scott managing that process, and he's going to be dealing with those guys, whether we do a live show on Showtime Live itself or on pay-per-view. So.
Okay, does Scott have an equity stake in Zuffa now?
He does not.
Okay. Scott, do you consider this a positive development for you and for Strikeforce?
I'll tell you, it's something where when you think about, just the history of mixed martial arts and where it's come from and where it's gone, I'm really proud of the accomplishments that we, have made over the last 2 years, and Showtime's been great partners. But, this is something that's going on now. It's real. And I think that the fans are going to get to see the fights eventually that they want to see. And I think that it's going to be good for mixed martial arts.
We'll take our next question from Dave Dilbert with Postmedia News.
Hi, guys. Thanks for the call. Either Dana or Lorenzo, if you could address this. With the library that comes along with the purchase, how much closer does this put you guys? I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but how much closer are you guys, or where are you in terms of whether it's an on-demand channel, some kind of Zuffa UFC channel that that's been bandied about for a little while?
It's really nothing to report on that front. I mean, we do have a vast library. I mean, tons of fights, tons of content. We have distribution on VOD on most of the major cable and satellite services. So, we're gonna use the Strikeforce library as we have used the Pride library, obviously the UFC library, WC library. I mean, fans are going to continue to be able to see the great fights that happen in Strikeforce, and what happens down the road, I don't know. It's a very complicated long-term strategy that we are trying to put in place.
And as technology continues to grow, our content is perfect for all this new technology. And we have the largest mixed martial arts library in the world. And we will continue to cut it up and create great programming with all the different brands that we own and provide it with all this new, we have all this content for all this new technology.
We have nearly 4,000 plus fights in our library now with the addition of Strikeforce, so a lot of good stuff in there.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, you guys.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Rafa Hernandez with ElOctagono.com.
Yes, how are you? This question is probably for Scott, and it falls into one of those with the answer that it's probably too early for the relationship. But, being that the UFC has actually been a trailblazer reaching the Hispanic market in the U.S., is that something that Strikeforce might be interested in looking, at early, I don't know, at soon?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. I mean, just to be honest, when I look at the offices here and all their staff and their commitment behind the sport and all the resources, I think we're going to be able to fast track in a lot of different areas and really blow Strikeforce up with the resources that Zuffa will put behind it. I think that going after the Hispanic community will definitely be something that could happen, especially because we have some Hispanic champions like Nick Diaz and Gilbert Melendez. So I think that could definitely happen.
Excellent. Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Damon Martin with MMAweekly.com.